Hi from the All Brands booth at Quilt Festival. I'm Heather Banks, one of your brother educators, and in this session, I'll be demonstrating the SE1900, a combination sewing and embroidery machine. Are you looking for a conveniently sized combo machine with lots of bells and whistles? Stick around. Brother's SE1900 is a combination sewing and embroidery machine. It's high quality, sturdy, and you can use it within minutes of taking it out of the box. Who might want to get one? Well, if space is at all a concern, this machine fits beautifully on a desk or table. Or maybe you only have room for one machine and it needs to be a combination machine. If you are ready for a second embroidery machine or you want to increase your business size, this would be a wonderful machine to add. If you love to travel and sew when you go on a trip, maybe you have an RV or you stay in a hotel room, this machine will fit beautifully in the back seat of your car or a cupboard, and who doesn't love to sew on vacation? And finally, if you are new to embroidery, this would be a great way to be introduced to embroidery while still owning a sewing machine. Let's take a look at everything that comes with the SE1900, the sewing and embroidery machine combo. In addition to the main body and the embroidery arm, you'll find a wide assortment of tools, from needles to screwdrivers to thread caps, an extra bobbin case, and a wide assortment of feet for sewing. A 5x7 embroidery hoop is also included with this machine. This machine includes a buttonhole foot and a foot for sewing on buttons, a blind hem foot, a general sewing foot, a zipper foot, a monogramming foot, and an overcasting foot. The alternative bobbin case can be used for experimenting with different weights of bobbin thread. This bobbin case is easily identifiable with the purple dot on the center. This case includes an adjustable screw for changing tension depending on the type of thread you're using. Let's remove the sewing table with the fold-out storage tray and attach the embroidery arm. The embroidery arm slides into place where the sewing table was located. You should hear it click into place, and then you'll know it's attached. Now that the embroidery arm is on, we can turn on the machine. There is a full-color touch screen on the SE1900. There are 138 built-in embroidery designs. This is a nice feature because not only does it allow you to see the design in detail, it also lets you see just how much room the design will take in each hoop size. This is a 5x7 hoop, and you can see how much room the design will take up. If I were to use a 4x4 hoop or a 4" by 4" hoop, this is how much room the design would take up in this hoop. It is too large for the very smallest 1.5 by 2" hoop, so this hoop is actually grayed out. As you can see, as you scroll through the designs, there are a variety from seasonal to floral to animals. In addition, there is a floral alphabet. Now you are able to do editing on screen of your embroidery designs. You can resize, move them around, rotate. Let's take a look at some of these. You can use the arrows to move your design up and down, but you can also just use your finger or stylus to move the designs around on the screen. You can resize them. They will automatically resize to the highest and lowest point at which the density will still be perfect, at which point they will still stitch out. So you don't have to worry that you may be making your designs too large or too small. They will also rotate. You can do them in increments of 1 degree, 10 degrees, 90 degrees. You can also mirror image your designs and then delete and start over. So let's go ahead and look at how we can combine designs. Let's choose a design to put on the screen. There are applique designs as well built into the machine. So here, this is an applique. Let's move forward and look at how that works. So here on the screen, you can see this looks a little different than your normal embroidery color because we will have a placement stitch, a tack down stitch, and a finishing stitch. But let's say this was going to be our design. We can add, and let's say we wanted to add a monogram or a name. Let's do a monogram and set that on the screen. So then we can move these around and basically we're able to add or combine designs. We can also change thread color. So you can see here that my monogram is highlighted, and I can change it to different colors that are available on the screen. And this will give me a different look so I can see exactly what I'm going to get. If I press the magnify key, I can magnify my design up to 300%, which really allows me to see the details. So this is what our design would look like stitched out. If we go ahead and take this back to the 100%, and you'll see here there is a pocket with a red arrow. This allows us to save the design. So we can save to the machine or we can save to a USB flash drive. There is a flash drive port on this machine. So you can import designs into your machine using your flash drive or save. Let's go to the end of our embroidery. So basically what this means is we are finished editing. There is another feature here, and this is the trace or outline button. And when we press this, this will do an outline. It will move the embroidery arm around so that you're able to see exactly how much space this design will take up into your hooped fabric. Let's move to our embroidery screen because we're all complete with everything that we want to do to make changes. Okay, now that we're at the final screen, you have some information here at the top. The screen will show you how many stitches there are to be complete in this project, how long it will take to stitch, and the number of thread changes. In case of a broken stitch or needing to change a bobbin thread, you can also move backwards and forwards in your stitches. So if I were to push this number, you can see I know exactly how far into my design I am. Okay, let's begin stitching so you can see exactly how this machine works. Before we begin stitching, let me show you how you can thread this machine. Brother embroidery machines have a numbered system. The numbers are printed on the exterior of the machine. So I'm just following the numbers through. When I get to the end, I'll go behind the needle bar, and then I'll finish by coming in front of the machine and cutting off the tail of the thread. Now this machine uses the lever that you see on the left side of the machine to thread. So I will lower my presser foot and then press the lever down. And that's all that's needed to thread the machine. Let's look at that a little bit closer. Okay, I bring the thread in the front of the machine, cut off the tail, lower the presser foot, and press the lever on the side. And that's all that's necessary to thread the machine. It works wonderfully if seeing something as small as an eye of a needle is difficult, and there's no need to lick the ends of your thread and attempt to get that right in that small eye. I know I very much appreciate this feature. Let's begin stitching. I'll lower the presser foot and then press the start button. I've changed out the embroidery foot for the J foot so that we can begin sewing. Changing the feet on a Brother machine is simple. Simply press the button in the back to release the foot and slide the new foot underneath. Now that we're on the sewing side of the machine, you can see the sewing stitches are up on the screen. There are 240 built-in sewing stitches and 10 different types of buttonholes. This is the main selection screen for stitches. In the top 5 categories are what are known as the utility stitches. These include buttonholes. They include just the regular straight stitch with a left justified needle and a right justified needle. This is a stem stitch for sewing knits. You'll find your zigzag stitches and basting stitches, a variety of stitches for overcasting your seam edges. If you garment sew, you don't have to have a serger. You can simply use these stitches along with the accompanying foot to finish off your edges. There are also stitches that have the letter P next to them, or Q, and these are for piecing and quilting. And the features of these stitches have been specially designed for quilting. The settings for each stitch are located at the top. The width and length can be changed right here. The left and right shift will allow you to move the needle back and forth, and of course you can change the tension. You'll notice as we change to a different stitch that the width and length change to the pre-programmed number and also tell you the foot that is recommended. Here is a basic blanket stitch like you might use for applique. There is a preset width and length, however you can easily change these. You will see on the left that the stitch changes so that you can visually see exactly what the stitch will look like when you're finished. These are our character decorative stitches. They tend to be our decorative, larger stitches that you might use for a variety of fun extras. There's some very large stitches. You can combine stitches, as you see right here. And then you can see what that looks like as well. There are even small lettering options, so you can spell out a name or personalize even on the sewing side. As you can see, there are a lot of on-screen editing options on the sewing side, just like there are on the embroidery side. As with all Brother machines, we also can see that there is something we call My Custom Stitch. My Custom Stitch allows you to create your own stitches and make your own designs for sewing. So you can see here, just in those few quick options that I chose, I created my own unique stitch. And this is something only Brother machines have. It's called My Custom Stitch. Let's do some sewing so you can see exactly how great this sewing machine is. Let's begin by sewing a basic straight stitch. I'll lower my presser foot, I'll do a tie off at the end of my stitch and begin stitching. Now this is being stitched at the presets, so I haven't made any adjustments. Now I have a scissors button so I can automatically cut and stop stitching. And then you're able to see the quality of the stitches. Let's do something a little more exciting. Let's try a zigzag stitch, and we will make this one wider. So we'll take this up to about 6.5 millimeters in width and begin stitching. Now you could use the zigzag stitch for applique. You could use it also for finishing off the edges of your garments when stitching as well. I'm going to go ahead and cut this stitch so you can check it out. Lift our presser foot and compare it to the straight stitch. So again, that is a very high quality, very uniform wide zigzag stitch. What about the decorative stitches? So let's go ahead and try one of those. Now this is stitch 7-05, and notice that the machine is actually using the motor to step sideways. It does this automatically. There's no adjustments necessary on your part. And let's take a look at what that looks like. It's actually a very pretty decorative stitch. Again, very uniform. The stitches are nice and consistent. Let's try a different decorative stitch. This is stitch 806, and it is a satin stitch decorative stitch. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the machine. And cut the thread so you can see what this looks like. If you want to make buttonholes but you're a little uncertain about how to do it, this machine makes buttonholes simple. I'll lower the lever on the side of the machine, and then I've selected my buttonhole and I'll simply press go. And that is a beautiful buttonhole that was simple and fast. Let's put on the overcasting foot. So I might use the overcasting foot to finish the edge of a seam. And here you can see that this has done a really nice job finishing off the edge of this seam. So if you want to finish your seam allowances in your garment sewing and you don't have a serger, or you just prefer not to get it out because you want to use something that's handy and available, this would work really well. This notebook cover was embroidered on cork using the SE1900. I combined two designs. This is built into the machine, as is this lettering font. And you can see how very nice this turned out. It would make a great gift or a simple project just for yourself to have a place to put your notes. And again, this is on a cork and was embroidered with the 1900. This is an example of something that you could make as well. So these are buttonhole stitches that have been sewn in a row, And then ribbon was interspersed between the buttonholes. This is a set of decorative stitches. I combined 2 different decorative stitches, just like I showed you you can do with this machine, to create very simple, pretty edging. And then I used a built-in embroidery font to finish the child's bib. With the 240 built-in sewing stitches and 138 embroidery stitches, you'll be creating in no time. And don't forget to visit All Brands either online or in person at Quilt Festival for this special and so many others.